What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Wager Alarm live stream. I'm your host, Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. And we are, well, a little bit more than a week away from the Super Bowl. That's right, Super Bowl 53. Craig, Patriots versus the Rams here. I mean, I guess we can kind of just do our little conference game wrap-up. Did we even talk about the conference games yet?
Do we have
remember. I guess I don't think we need to. I think I like the I knew I liked the Rams. I was hoping
that was a great pick.
What are you talking about? I took the Rams in the points.
Great pick.
Why are you rolling your eyes at me?
You proud of that?
Am I proud of it? I mean, I got minus 110 on it with 3.5 points. I did okay with it. It made up for my losses of taking the Chiefs, laying 2.5.
It was a terrible pick. Rams was a terrible pick. They won. They won because on a cheat at the end of the game. Horrible.
Oh, really? So that's what it is. So you're coming up the loser, and you're going to complain about that one play. Well, they fined Roby Coleman. They fined him today, Craig. $26,000. Doesn't that make up for it?
That was a horrible ending to a game, and for somebody who took the Saints, I'll get over it quick. But I'm just still annoyed because the Rams don't belong in this game. The Saints do. But in the end, you're right. If you bet on the game, you cash your ticket with the Rams. Although I didn't, it's just one of those endings that is going to be in infamy for a long time. I mean, if there was ever a George Brett Pine-Tar game, this is the one. This is the one to line those guys up with 2 minutes left in the game in the Superdome and replay it. That's how bad that call was. But we're moving on to the Super Bowl. Certainly this week we got a lot of prop bets. I think I know a little bit about the prop bets.
Do you know a little bit of something about the prop bets?
A little bit.
All right, let's before we even get into the prop bets, let's just establish certain things, because there's definitely a differing of opinion about prop bets and using them. And we made the joke a couple of weeks ago where you were like, it's like a Pringle. You can't just have one. And
that's exactly right.
There are going to be these dumb prop bets that everybody's going to jump all over and try to have some fun with. Are there, though, legit prop bets that you can make where you think that this is the sensible, if you're going to do prop betting, there is a sensible way to do it?
There is, and look, this is the kind of thing that a lot of people engage in betting in the Super Bowl in one form or another, whether it's a local pool or playing the boxes or betting with your friends, that usually people who never would normally bet anything on the Super Bowl actually do it because it's like the cool thing to do. Everybody has their Super Bowl parties and they go over people's houses. And look, I get it for sure. Right. As somebody who's been at this for 25 years with this, the one thing that I would advise is you have to separate who is going to win the game from the props. You have to do that because, for example, if you think the Rams are going to win or New England's going to win, and you decide that you're going to sit down and pick, let's say, 10 props and bet, let's say, $100 on each prop. And I don't know that you can, even online, bet $100 on each prop, but let's just say that you could. If you slant, Howard, all of your betting props toward one side, you may as well just bet the game and not the props.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. You've slanted all of your bets, and instead of betting that 1,000 on that team, you've basically just spread it on all of the player props, on all of, let's just say, the overs or unders based on how you think the game is going to play out. What sense does that make? If you're going to do that, you're better off just betting the team that you're going to win. Now, if you're just doing this for fun and you don't care, well, great, and I've done that too. So my first piece of advice is that if you are planning on using that number, let's just say 10 as a number, because once you start betting on 25, 30 props, you're losing no matter what. Keep this in mind, you're losing. I mean, you're not going to make money off this.
But what if I really know that Adam Levine's going to wear a black shirt?
What you do is, and if you want to do the fun ones and just take a shot and flip a coin, yeah, by all means. Listen, I'll flip the coin for you, no problem. I mean, we have no idea the answers to those. And we also have no idea who's going to score first, and we have no idea who's going to be the MVP. These are all long shot type things, and that's how Vegas makes all of their money. Because the person that says, I think Devlin's a great to score at 1,000 to 1. Well, Vegas takes $10 here and $10 here and $10 here on all the Devlins that don't win. And then somebody hit a 6-1, and they're like, it was the easiest bet ever in Vegas. Yeah, well, Vegas took the money on all the Devlins and all the James Whites and all the Cooks and all the Woods. This is just a money-making proposition for Vegas. So how do you combat that? Obviously, you use your own intelligence and as much data as you possibly can on the specific player props, over or under on catches, on yards. Like those are on longest run, shortest run. There are some things that can factor into that. But whatever your game narrative is, make sure to leave yourself at the end of the props with a long shot prop on the other side of the coin, just in case. So, for example, let's just say that, Howard, you think that New England is going to win the game, and they're going to win by 5, 6, 7, or whatever the case may be. There are props that you can bet online and also in Vegas that will set you up at high odds, for example, to bet on the Rams to win by a certain amount of points. So go against yourself and hedge in a way and take the Rams at, and I had it up here and I'm sorry I don't anymore, at let's say a 15-1 to win by 14 points. So then if all of your props that you bet on are going the wrong way at one point, and then you have this little carrot at the end, well, look, oof, thank goodness. I thought the Patriots are going to win. The Rams are up 2 touchdowns here. You tear up your tickets on all of the player props, but you still have that one possibility because you hedged yourself on the other side with a long shot to at least end up trying to break even. And even that theory and that strategy may not end up working out, but you simply cannot look at your game script and guarantee all of your props are going to hit based on that. You can't do it. You're going to lose, and you're going to lose hard. So my advice is always to hedge yourself at least on 20 to 30% of the prop bets that you make with some sort of long shot at the end. And I'm not talking about the first touchdown in the game. That doesn't mean anything. We have no idea who's going to win based on that. I'm talking about like what the final score is going to be, how many exact points of what you opposite think in order to hedge on that to get a 5-1 or a 6-1 or a 7-1 in there, not the MVP, and those are the kind of ones that I would advise going in on as like your 7th or 8th, 9th, or 10th prop, something like that. Did that make sense?
It makes complete sense. Do any of the prop lines actually change? Just not just based on which side the money's coming on, but let's just say, for example, like Todd Gurley. For him, the over-under on rushing yards for Todd Gurley is 72.5.
Is it that high? I thought it was lower.
I think it's at 72.5. Yeah, because I was surprised because C.J. Anderson's I saw was only at like 44.5.
Right.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question.
Those move a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so like if Gurley puts in full practices Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people are just betting the over on that one, is Vegas going to raise it?
It could adjust, but again, keep in mind the amount of money, even in Vegas, that you can bet on a prop is I would be shocked if it was more than $1,000, or $2,000. I just don't think that you can get down that kind of money to move that. I really don't think so, Howard. So there may be. I've seen some move. I've seen Brady's yards go up. There's been a couple that have Josh Reynolds have come down, I think. So there have been some adjustments, but not that significant. By the way, the final score for the Rams, as an example, let's say that you like the Patriots. I wanted to pull this up. Let's say that you all of your props were on the Patriots, and you think and just hypothetically, you think the Patriots are going to win. If you pick the final score of what the Rams will have. If you think the Patriots are going to win, the odds of the Rams scoring 29, 30, 31 points would seem to be a little slim. But you could throw $10 on 29, 30, and 31. The Rams will give you a 30-1 payoff if they score 29 points, 20-1 payoff at 30, and 12-1 at 31. So if for some reason the Rams win and you at least have that ticket holding the end to say, wow, I'm losing. James White's doing nothing. Gronk is doing nothing. Brady looks bad. All of these props I thought that would be so good for New England, and now you're holding yourself out in the end, and those I always find interesting. Also, the margin of victory is another nice hedge at the end of the line in a prop. You've done all your player props. You've done your research. You found 7 or 8 that are really good. Let's go back to the Rams again. Let's say that you think the Patriots are going to win, and all of your props are slated. And you even bet the Patriots to win -2.5, and you bet $50. You bet $100. Take $50 and put it on the Rams winning by 13 to 16 points. That's not a lot. The Rams winning by 12-1. 12-1 odds. You're betting all of those other. You're betting those. So the other one are all straight. $50 to win 50. $100 to win 100. This is 50 to win 500. You'd even make money doing it this way. And if that is burnt, and if that one is burnt, your other ones in all likelihood will win. It's not an exact science, but you have to find a hedge in this sort of thing if you're going to engage in betting in 10-15 props. The best thing that I can say is next Friday, we'll make the final call as to what our favorite ones are. I have restraint, and it's not a problem for me to take a look at the best 3 or 4, and I did it this morning, and just say, okay, this is one that I really want to do,
right?
And stop at like 2 or 3. But I also understand it's the novelty of it, it's the fun of it, and it's really hard just to look at one prop and say, oh, James White's catches 6.5, that's a lock, and you just can't stop. You got to like throw more out there. And that's what I've heard a lot on our channel on SiriusXM too. Everyone's just like a million, like going this prop, that prop. Yeah, it's just like you're never winning all this. There's not a chance. So I don't know if it adds up for people who are listening or watching the live stream, but that's a strategy that I've used in the past. Very rarely have I made money off this thing, but what I've always tried to do is find a way at the end of the line to at least get me to a break even. Because for me, for betting, me personally, and you get older, it's like if I'm going to bet $10 or $20 on a prop, I'm not going to bet. Like it's a waste of my time. I'd rather just watch the game and have fun. I'm not going to be tracking those bets the whole time. So, that's my opinion on it. When I actually am going to place a bet down, I'm going to make it at least a 3-figure bet of some kind, or else it's honestly not worth the time.
Just a waste of your time. All right. Well, listen, I got you, man. I definitely got it. I want to give a shout out here to our sponsor, BetDSI. Guys, if you want to, if you're looking for a place to do your prop betting, and they've got some really nice. I love the setup that BetDSI has with the prop betting. I told you about the steady increases in yardage, plus the changes in the money line for player props that I was looking at. Passing yards, it was like Brady over 300, right. Then it was Brady over 320, and then it was Brady over 340. And I do, and it's hysterical too, because you're talking about the restraint that you're showing, and I'm showing the restraint because I'm not clicking buttons left and right, but I'm starting to salivate over some of these, just thinking about game flow and whatnot. And then of course I look over at BetDSI, and it was allowing me to go more than $25 a prop.
Good. The entertainment ones online tend to be pretty low, but hopefully the player ones are a little bit higher.
I think the player props are a little bit more realistic to play around with. Again, we're just guessing with a
lot of it.
What song is Maroon 5 going to open up with? What color is the Gatorade that's going to be thrown down on? It's just like those are the props. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not a fan of those. If I want to sit there, we do a contest over at fantasyalarm.com. It's your basic, like, if you were sitting there and you were passing out a contest to all your friends at your Super Bowl party.
That's the same thing. Exactly. I agree. 100%.
And all you're doing is just checking off boxes. What's going to be the first animal that we're going to see in a commercial after the kickoff? Ooh, yeah,
right.
Horse. That sounds really good. So, that's what I think about those entertainment props. But I do look at some of the player props, and I look at, certain things, and I'm like, this is actually kind of interesting. When I look at James White, 19.5 rushing yards, is that something that I want to do? Like, that's something that if you understand game flow and you want to try and predict what's going on, then those are the ones to do it. You said you found like 3 or 4 that you kind of liked. Would you like to share? You don't have to give a pick. You can just give a lean, or just say. Yeah,
I'll just. I don't even have any yet, honestly, that I would go in on. What next Friday? You and I will have a consensus. Maybe we'll do 10 or 20, where you and I, as we've always done during
30,
the year.
We're not 40.
Again, 10 or 20. We'll go. We'll go back and we'll go. My hand's stuck.
Is that wine in my Pringles can?
We'll go back and forth. We'll come up with it. Here is my early thought on what I've seen. You have a choice in this Super Bowl with the props to believe one of two things, I think, personally. It's not about winning the game. It's not, because I've seen this play out before. You have a choice to believe that either Todd Gurley is healthy or he is not. And I think that if he is healthy and he plays, and for whatever reason last week was a blip, then every single one of his props are going over next Sunday. And if he is not, every single one of his props are going under. And I'm not really sure what to do yet, but I think you got to take a shot with him. I've heard the opposite, and it is smart if you don't know not to, but what do we really know anyway about this game? I kind of feel the temptation a little bit that that something just didn't happen for him last week, and it will in the Super Bowl. I don't know why. It is just a hunch, and I don't even know that the Rams will win the game.
Right.
But I'm looking at these numbers, and I'm asking myself, Howard, these numbers that Todd Gurley has on these props for 16 weeks of the regular season and an additional 2 playoff games, these are the lowest amongst all of the games that he's played all season long, all of last season long. And I understand it because he didn't do anything last week and he was on the sideline. But if it was just that he wasn't playing well or whatever the case may be, I have to go over on these props. I mean, Todd Gurley can't be this bad. I don't know if he's hurt. But, I mean, Todd Gurley's over-under on, his prices on daily fantasy and his individual props as the season went on DK and FanDuel, his rushing totals were 88, 90 yards, even higher. His receiving yards were 50. His catches were 5. These are all way under. So, to me, there's a temptation there to take a shot because it is the Super Bowl, and if he has that kind of Marshall Faulk effect like he did with like the Rams did years ago, and I gotta believe that that's the case. I haven't decided what to do with that yet. And the other one is obviously Zuerlein showing up on the injury report. I guess they have to put him on there for one reason. We'll have to monitor that. But I would tell you that if you got in on the Zuerlein props and went under on all of them, and they end up signing a kicker this week as a backup, just in case something happens in that game, you got a good chance to win all the Zuerlein props too. So, kind of thinking ahead a little bit to that, I think those are at least the 2 things that I've at least, kind of honed in on to this point. And then beyond that, there's just, that's only, there's 1,000 props here to go over. So by next Friday, we'll certainly have them all. But since we're not going to be on for a week, if you're asking me my opinion, I'd pick a couple Gurley props and go over. I'd pick a couple Zuerlein props and go under, just to take a shot on this.
And I'm kind of feeling the exact same way with the Gronk ones too. On the other side of that game,
What do you think about him?
Right now, I mean, if I had to lean, I would be leaning on the under on all his props.
Under. But last week they all went over, right? So
last week they all went over. It was 6 for 79. But if you look at Gronk throughout time, throughout this season, I mean, everything's been tilted on the under, not to mention the fact that I kind of feel like given Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh and this Rams defense, their pass rushers here, I feel like Gronk is more apt to be held into block a little bit more than he's going to be released into the passing game.
I think his receiving total is 54, so you like the under there?
I like the under on that. I know he can bust that open. He can bust that wide open with one catch. I know he can. But I don't have the faith in Gronk to be able to perform at that level, even though there's an extra week off here for him. That that's just kind of my feeling about it. Also, especially because I also feel like that's one of the things McVay's going to expect when he's got Talib and he's got Peters. Everything kind of the defense funnels everything into the middle, which means that would be where you attack the Rams, and you do that with Gronk and you do that with Edelman. But I mean, I'm just kind of leaning right now towards the under. I just don't have that faith in him. So I kind of see exactly where you're going with the Gurley props, and you're definitely looking at a better situation, knowing with a guy like Gurley than with the unpredictability of.
Don't get me wrong; it's very unpredictable with Gurley, also. But if the majority of these props are really flipping coins and trying to get edges that look, these lines are going to be tight with the players too. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. It's Vegas. Right. There's one game left. I think that you got to try and predict the unpredictable. And I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that's kind of the way I see it. And if there are props on value that I wouldn't have gotten during the season that I could get right now, I got to take advantage of that. And while Gurley was not great, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have his numbers in front of me, against Dallas, it was more of a C.J. Anderson thing. I think Gurley would have went over on all of these props.
Gurley went over on all of these props against Dallas. Those were, I mean, the offensive line was just ripping open. Right,
it was one game. These holes. One game last week. Yeah. And maybe there was something to be said that they weren't going to play him after he dropped those two balls. He really didn't play. Maybe that was part of the plan not part of the plan, but what happened with McVay. I don't know, and nobody really knows, and I don't think we're going to go into next Sunday knowing, but you can't go from the top pick in all of fantasy football and do what he did during the regular season to have these kind of props set unless there's something wrong with him. And if it is the health and it creeped up on him last week, fine, let's also consider 2 weeks in between the last game in the Super Bowl. And by the way, I don't know where Gurley stands on the injury report, Howard, but if you want more controversy, let me ask you this question. If Todd Gurley is hurt and he's barely on the injury report, or he is probable, and then the day after the Super Bowl, he has surgery on his knee, something was fishy there at that point. The Rams should be in trouble with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Something would be super fishy.
They would have to list him, and they would have to disclose what his injury is, just like they did with Zerline. But if Gurley's not on the injury report, hey. And then he has surgery right away, then we got fooled. That's not right either.
No, it's not. And that's that requires that means sanctions then. Just like Belichick back in the day of getting sanctions for
and it may be worth it. And you know what? It may be worth it for the Rams to pay that sanction on that on him. It really is to have them not know. And I suppose that's part of the equation too. But yeah, next Friday we'll have it. At least 10 of them we'll dive into. Mostly, I think, players over under, because I mean, you could throw a dart and I could throw a dart as to who's going to score first. In the history of doing this, I went back and I looked. I've only hit that one time in history, and I've done it every year of who's going to score first. I'm a sucker for these tight ends, and it never happens. And I picked the Antonio Freeman one year, and he hit at 8-1. That was it. I've never hit one of those since.
Well, again, that's kind of why I really like those player props over on BetDSI. I love that sliding scale. I really do. I think it's a good way to kind of help yourself hedge on certain ones as well. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Again, fantasyalarm.com/bet. Go to BetDSI and use the promo code ALARM100. They'll match 100% up to $2,500, so you don't want to miss out on that. That's going to do it for us today. I just wanted to kind of do like a little bit of an introductory one. Yeah. Obviously, next week we're going to have the injury report throughout the week. We're going to know a little bit more. We're going to think we know a little bit more based on what the teams are telling us. And then, yeah, like Craig said, then we'll play around with a couple of props, and then maybe Craig and I will make some a nice friendly wager with each other as far as the Super Bowl.
By the way, in the last 2 minutes before we go, did you have any lean on the game itself? Did you have any opinion yet on which way you may lean on this -2.5?
I got to tell you, I sat there listening to a conversation at the FSTA about all the reasons in the world that the Patriots are going to destroy the Rams. And the only thing that I heard on the other side, and this is even from Patriots people, was if Todd Gurley was healthy, if the Rams were healthy, then they would win this game. And that means Todd Gurley, you're never going to get Cooper Kupp back. So you have to say Todd Gurley. And again, Craig, I'll tell you, and I'll take it to the grave, because everybody knew that the Chargers were going to beat the Patriots.
That's true.
Everybody knew it. Well, guess what? Public was wrong. Everybody knew the Saints were going to win. Bad call, no bad call, whatever you want.
Well, that one I don't know about, but yes, I agree.
Well, listen, so 61% of the money is on the Patriots right now, laying 2.5. Right now, I'm leaning towards taking the Rams and doing what you're talking about with the Gurley prop bets as well.
Right, you would have to buy a half a point for sure online if you were playing it that way. With BetDSI, you'd buy your half a point and lay your -120, because the Patriots have tended to either lose the Super Bowl outright or play close. There are no Patriots blowouts in the Super Bowl. It doesn't happen. Go back.
Hey, 1985, my friend.
Well, they got blown out.
Bears. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm saying they have not blown anyone out.
They haven't blown anybody out.
No one.
I can dig that.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm trying to think. I mean, they lost the 2 Giants games, right?
Yeah.
They beat Seattle because Seattle screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
They beat
Atlanta
because they screwed up.
Yep.
They lost to Philadelphia.
Yep. And that was a tight one.
They were beating Carolina pretty good, and then DeLone brought them all the way back, and it was close. I think that he missed a field goal. Casey or somebody missed a field goal, or Gostkowski hit one at the end. I don't even know who was there. Was it Vinatieri may have hit the field goal? The Vinatieri hit the field goal to win.
Up to Vinatieri, 24 straight years. He got re-signed for the for another year next year.
We're doing live streams, and he's kicking in the NFL. Same age.
Could you imagine the over/under on Vinatieri? How many years he'd play in the NFL? If it was 10 years, you'd been like, I'm taking the under.
Yeah, what I would have never thought. I'll tell you. Last thing, what I never would have thought. Not that he would play this long. I never thought that he would end up playing more years with the Colts than he did with the Patriots. It blew my mind when I heard that last year. That he's going to end up playing more with Indy than he will with New England. I was like, yeah, I mean, he played his whole career with New England. He'll probably play a few years with the Colts. Not a few. He ended up playing more. So, right. But I look forward to next Friday. We'll definitely hammer out a lot of the props. I definitely look forward to it. And by that time, after doing 5 more days of radio shows on this, I am certain that I will have at least some good opinions on some.
Nice. I'm actually going to go listen to some Maroon 5 right now and see if I can't figure a whole mess.
Put money in the payphone and go do that.
That's going to do it for us. That's going to do it for us here. Wager Alarm live stream. Big thanks to Matt Sells for producing. Always a big thanks to Craig for being here. I'm Howard Bender, and we'll catch you next time.